Hey there, island dreamers, locals, and anyone craving a slice of paradise. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to the Fun and Key West podcast, where the vibe is always laid back, the stories are salty, and the drinks, well, they're definitely frozen. I'm your host, Michelle O'Connor, your unofficial tour guide to the Conch Republic. Whether you're planning your first trip, your fifth trip, or you're just daydreaming about trading the cubicle for the ocean breeze, you are in the right place. Here's the deal. This podcast is your insider's guide to all things Key West. We're talking where to eat, hello, conch fritters and key lime pie, where to drink, spoiler alert, there will be rum, where to stay, and all the quirky, wonderful things that make Key West the one-of-a-kind paradise we all love. Plus, we'll keep you up to date on the latest happenings, festivals, events, maybe even the occasional Hemingway lookalike sighting. And just to keep things spicy, we'll be bringing on some amazing guests now and then, locals, business owners, and people who know the island like the back of their sandy hand. So grab your flip-flops, pour yourself a cold one, and let's escape to the island state of mind together, whether you're tuning in from your hammock or your commute, while wishing it was a hammock. We've got all the Key West goodness coming your way. Thanks for being here. It's going to be a lot of fun in Key West. Let's dive in. Hey there, seafood lovers. Michelle here with Fun in Key West, and today we're about to get clawsome. You knew I wasn't letting that pun slip by. This episode is all about one of Key West's shining stars, lobster. Before you start picturing those big, beefy Maine lobster claws, hold up. Did you know Florida has its very own lobster? The spiny lobster, and it's all about the sweet, succulent tail? No claws here, but trust me, it's still a catch. We're talking top spots to indulge in amazing lobster dishes that'll have you planning your next meal before this podcast ends. Plus, for your adventurous types, I've even got tips on how to snag some Florida spiny lobster yourself. Grab your fork, maybe a bib, and get ready for a delicious deep dive into the best lobster in the Conch Republic. And if you need more, remember, there's always more in the show notes. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Tasty Tuesday. I am Michelle with Fun in Key West, and today we're diving into the best lobster in Key West. And Mr. Coffee and I are here to give you a little bit of an overview. First, let's discuss the major difference between a Florida spiny lobster and a Maine lobster. Because I think when people think I'm talking about lobster in Key West, they're thinking I'm thinking Maine lobster. Although, we will touch on a few places like that. But let's go over the difference between a spiny lobster and the Maine lobster. A Florida spiny lobster doesn't have those big front claws, but it is very sweet in texture. These lobsters are found in shallow waters, and they find themselves in these little natural ledges and in the coral reefs and the Atlantic side of the Keys and the Gulf of Mexico. A Maine lobster, I think, is what we traditionally think of when we see a lobster. Got those big claws, and the goal is to get all of that meat out of those claws in one piece. Very iconic to New England style seafood dishes. You've got the lobster roll, you have these lobster dishes. Of course, I'm going to say hands down, one of the best places to go in Key West for a Maine-style lobster roll is DJ's Clam Shack on Duval Street. I think you saw it on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Very cool place to go. It reminds you of a Maine roadside stand, and hospitality is out of this world. Before I dive into where do you find the best lobster in Key West, and it's not going to be the only places to find lobster. I'm going to preface this, but Florida spiny lobster has seasons in Key West. You have mini lobster season, and the reason why I'm going to tell you about these seasons is it lets you know when these are fresh, when they're in season, so you know that they're going to be on menus. But also to help guide you on, do you want to go out and try and get some? Or traffic, or when people are going to be maybe most busy in town. So mini lobster season is usually the last consecutive Wednesday and Thursday of July. You're going to have to look at a calendar to figure out how that works. It's limited to a 2-day mini session, or excuse me, a 2-day mini season, and it's usually right before the commercial season starts. In Monroe County, double check me before you head out, but I believe it's still a 6-person bag limit. And you catch them all around the waters in the Keys, Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary, Biscayne Bay, the Everglades, all of that. Since these are normally found in shallow water, basically all you're going to need is some snorkel gear, dive flag so people know that you're under the water there, and a tickle stick. This one cracked me. You need a tickle stick because you got to tickle them, entice them out of their hiding place. Regular lobster season, that starts August 6th through March 31st. So it goes most of the fall or all of the fall, tail into summer, all the way through spring. And that is 6 lobsters per person. And these have a size limit. So they have to be a certain size and they have to be measured, I think, in the water to be legal. Now, let's dive into where do you find the best lobster in Key West? Short answer, any place that serves seafood, especially local seafood. And if it's lobster season, they're going to have it. It's going to depend, I think, a lot more it's going to depend more on the atmosphere of where you want to eat versus what's actually on the menu. And I think that is true for a lot of the food and a lot of the places in Key West. It's more about the vibe. It's more about location than really the menu offerings. So I'm going to start off with Blue Heaven. Of course, they have their lobster Benedict and Blue Heaven. You're sitting in this iconic place. The roosters are roaming around. You're enjoying a great cup of coffee. It's iconic Key West. It's going to be booked, packed, no matter usually when you go. So plan to just be leisurely about your wait, grab a cocktail from the bar, and just enjoy your time there. Sometimes they're playing live music to entertain you. Other times it's just the roosters that are entertaining you. And that's over on Thomas Street. If you want something a little more upscale that gives you that iconic water view, you can try A&B Lobster House. This is a very upscale experience. Formal settings. You're not going to be walking in t-shirts and flip-flops, although I'm sure they would let you in. But take advantage of the fact that this is a little more upscale. Wear a pretty sundress. Wear those nicer, what I call those golf shorts that men wear. They got a nice hang to them. They look nice. And a nice polo shirt. Dress up. Be something a little more formal. They have rotating menus, and they offer a lot of the traditional, what I call upscale seafood restaurant menu offerings. And that's over on Front Street. Again, DJ's Clam Shack. If you're looking for a Maine style lobster roll, they have an absolute wicked lobster roll over there. It's simple. It's butter drips off. It has that top cut bun that is so iconic with a lobster roll. You also have the Lobster Shack, which is down on South Street, and they're also known for their lobster rolls. So if you can't get into DJ's and you're just craving a lobster roll, you can head over there. Another place that I go for that is for the ambiance and obviously for the food. I mean, you wouldn't keep going back if the food was horrible, but it's Louis' Backyard. You're over there. The water view is amazing, and you're so far removed from Duval, even though you're really not, but you're removed from Duval that you just feel like you're on a tropical island, which you are, but it doesn't have that touristy feel. You can head over to Louis and sit out on the back porch there for an afternoon cocktail. You can grab brunch there. I like that place. And they have a rotating menu. So whatever is in season is what they're highlighting. And so be sure to grab something there. Everything there is good stuff. If you really want to try your hand at catching a lobster yourself, you're going to highly recommend go out with a charter. And there are lots of great captains and charters and fishing guides that you can go out and do that with. Make sure when you're booking it, that's what they will offer you, or that's what you're telling them that you're expecting to do, and that you're not going fishing, that you actually want to go out and catch lobster. A lot of the private charters will take you out, make it so charters will help you go out and grab lobster and help you do lobster catching. And I can head over to FunInKeyWest.com, hit what to do and travel partners and make it so charters is there. And Captain Howie will make sure you are absolutely taken care of whenever you want to plan something. A lot of times they'll offer the snorkeling gear, but make sure you figure out what are you going to need to show up to have these experiences. You're going to be in shallow water, so it's going to be hit really deep. You're going to be snorkeling, again, that tickle stick. Make sure that the captain's going to take care of all of the licensing that you're going to need to have, because you're going to need a lobster permit before you go out. And most, if not all, of these chartered captains will do that. Here's a little fun fact. I try to put some fun facts in. So as you're having for your Tuesday trivia nights, you can go, oh, I know the answer to that. Did you know that Ernest Hemingway was known for his love of seafood and often enjoyed a fresh caught lobster? I can see that. I can really see that. And some say he used to bet lobster as his ante after a long day of fishing on his Friday night boxing matches. Interesting. So what is your number one spot for lobster in Key West? I didn't really go through a lot of places because, again, if it's serving fresh local seafood in Key West, they're going to serve lobster when it's in season. And you have the Concrete Republic Seafood Company. You have the ones I've already listed. You have just an amazing assortment of places to go. I think it narrows itself down to what kind of experience are you looking for when you have your lobster? Do you want to be at an outdoor place and sitting at a picnic bench? Do you want to be a little bit more upscale? I think that's a lot of what depends on what makes it your best place for lobster. But I'm always open to hearing what your favorite place is for lobster. Have you been lobster fishing or lobster hunting, whatever you'd call it? Let me know. I would love to hear your experience and being able to share that with everybody else. I am Michelle with Fun in Key West, and I'm going to tell you, head over to FunInKeyWest.com, grab our happy hour list. You guys are doing an amazing job of doing that, but grab our happy hour list. That gets you on our newsletter, and that gets you signed up for all kinds of interesting things. The Throwback Tuesday, where we go back and revisit some topics that I've talked about in the past that were very popular, as well as keeping you up to date on all the things happening in Key West and at Fun in Key West. I am Michelle. Enjoy your Tuesday, and we'll talk to you later. Bye. Well, seafood letterers, I hope you're ready to grab your bibs and make a reservation. Or maybe even pick up a tickle stick. Yes, it's a thing. Today's deep dive into the best lobster Key West has to offer was packed with juicy details. Here's a quick recap so you can plan your ultimate lobster feast. We cracked into the key differences between Florida spiny lobster and Maine lobster. No claws on Florida spiny lobsters, but oh, those sweet tender tails make up for it. Top picks for lobster indulgence? From Blue Heaven's Unforgettable Lobster Benedict to DJ's Clam Shack for a Maine-style lobster roll, and the elegant waterfront vibes at A&B Lobster House, the options are as varied as they are delicious. If you're feeling adventurous, catch your own Florida spiny lobster. With shallow water, snorkel gear, and the famous tickle stick, lobster catching turns into an oceanic treasure hunt. Feeling inspired? I've got you covered. With the full list of lobster hotspots and tips over at FunInKeyWest.com and in the show notes. Whether you're hunting for that perfect dining spot or ready to try your hand at catching your dinner, you'll find everything you need to plan the ultimate crustacean adventure. Now, before you log off and start Googling Key West travel deals, make sure you're signed up for the Fun in Key West newsletter. It's your personal gateway to island tips, foodie finds, happy hour gems, and more. So while you're at FunInKeyWest.com, grab the happy hour list and join the island-loving crew. Before you go, like this episode if you're already dreaming about your next lobster meal. Share it with your foodie friends, travel buddies, and anyone who could use a little Key West magic in their lives. And let me know your must-try lobster spot in Key West. I'm all ears and forks. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Go savor some lobster, plan that seafood adventure, and as always, keep it Key Westy. Until next time.